This is my Acme Shakeomatic that I made in a previous video several years ago. And I use this thing every time that I use spray paint because it mixes it for me. I use this microwave timer that I also made in a video. And from the time that I made this, the reason what this video is about is I'm making a new basket for this. When I made it, I never did really like the looks of this. It's kind of crappy looking. So I poured some things I'll show you here in a minute. But part of the other reason is watch when I shake this. And this is an oversized can, but you see how it kind of stops and starts? So part of what I realized was you need to get your center of mass, I guess, a little higher. You want to try to balance it top to bottom. So like if I shove a wad of paper in there and get it up a little bit higher, see, it doesn't slam quite as much. It doesn't slam quite as much when you do that. So part of what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this shorter. It works better too for shorter cans. All right, let's get to the bench and I'll show you what we're talking about. So here are the poured pieces, and here's the video of me actually pouring them. Got a two-part pattern here. So I'll start with that part, then add this on. And that's just so I can pull it out of the pattern. If I had tried to make it one piece, this would have hung up. Here's the bottom. Okay, and so then I cut the sprues off. And so I'm going to put this in the, also had some cave-in right here on this particular one that shouldn't have been there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a boring bar and I'm going to clean that out, and then I'm going to knock this nice and flat. That's the bottom piece, and then this is the top. So it sits like this when it's finished. And I got to clean that up on the inside right there, and then bore it out to attach to the machine. And then I'm going to drill between these holes and actually set some wires in there to hold this apart. Like that, and form the basket. Alright, so I changed my mind. I decided I'm going to take the sprue, I'm going to knock this sprue off on the belt sander. That's where we are so far. I'm going to go ahead and get this down flat, but it's getting kind of hot. Okay, and that gave me a nice finish on the bottom. Okay, so a little unconventional here, but I don't have any V-blocks that'll fit in my vise and fit this at the same time. So I cut a wooden circle that pretty much fits this, and then trimmed it to make it a little thinner in this direction, and then clamped it in. So I'm hoping this is going to hold. I'll just have to take light cuts and we'll see how we go. So this is the top piece, and the bottom didn't go flying across the room when we did it, so I'm going to go ahead and do this piece. I've got it centered up. I just used the edge of this. It's close enough. Alright, I've got the upper piece in here, and I've just got to drill the hole out for the shaft, and it's going to be 5/16. Alright, so in order to drill these out, what I would like to do is bolt this in my, or clamp this in my vise on my mill, and do a bolt circle to drill these, so then I could take this and do the exact same bolt circle, but it's going to be really hard to get all that lined up and get it indexed exactly right on both of them. So I'm just going to kind of take a shot, and I'm going to try to hit the middle of each one of these and drill them out, and then put the wires in, and hopefully there'll be enough leeway in those wires that I'll be able to get it put together. Okay, so I've cleaned the rods, and these are just some little rods that I get from political signs, the wire that holds them up. I cut those out. I cleaned these out with brake cleaner, and the rods off with brake cleaner just to make sure that there's no oil to deal with. I'm just going to put a little Loctite in each one. All right, I'll let that dry. Okay, so I cleaned this with brake cleaner and then let that dry, of course. And now I'm getting ready to coat it with Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. I put that on almost all of my aluminum castings. It's got a little bit of acid in there that etches into the metal, so you don't have problems with it coming off later on. I've got that hanging so I can get the bottom part of it. All right, we'll let that dry. Okay, so I just got this put back in, and this time I'm using a tapered pin in order to hold this in place. I think it'll do better than the wire that I had in there before. I did a separate video on how to do that tapered pin if you're interested. I didn't know that anybody would be. All right, it's back to working. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.